shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And our muggy meter is now down to comfy. It's going to feel great as you step out the door. I'll show you how long we'll hold on to this lovely weather.
Closing arguments are happening today for a case that could affect death row inmates in North Carolina. Why lawyers for Hassan Bakot say his conviction points to a pattern of harsh sentences for black men in our state.
And heads up for drivers, we'll tell you about a big traffic change starting today on the Beltline in Raleigh. And speaking of big changes, Elizabeth showed you the big change in the muggy meter. It feels fabulous out there. And I needed a layer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. I saw some folks with that light jacket today. Very interesting here in August.
Happy to have it on.
It is quite refreshing. Feels great out there. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with that look as we start our Wednesday here.
Yeah, it's so pretty out there. Our skies are clear. Of course, the moon isn't quite full, but it's still sitting there looking absolutely gorgeous. This is a live look, of course, at Zebulon, the historic town hall here. 63 degrees with a dew point of 56, a considerable drop from what we saw yesterday. And it felt okay yesterday morning, but it feels delightful as you step out this morning. It is 59 in Roxborough and South Hill, 64 in Fayetteville, 61 in Goldsboro and in Southern Pines. So feeling good all over. And our 24-hour temperature change, 5 to 10 degrees cooler than it was this time yesterday. 10 degrees cooler right here in the Triangle. So that's a big change. And check this out. We're going to see highs in the 70s this afternoon with a good bit of sunshine. Now, this morning there may be a few passing clouds like we saw yesterday, but we are not looking at any rain today. We'll enjoy this for the next several days, but I'll show you when the 90s return coming up.
Oh, we will enjoy it. Elizabeth, thank you. Covering Wake County, new this morning, Wake Schools is expanding its offering of free meals in schools when classes start next week. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at Yates Mill Elementary in Raleigh. Kelsey, 20 more schools will join dozens of others to offer free meals for all students this year.
Renee, yes. So Yates Mill Elementary is one of the 20 schools that's been added to this list. Every student who goes to school here will be eligible for a free breakfast and a free lunch without the hassle of filling out any paperwork. About 60 Wake schools will offer free breakfast and lunch for all students this year. Wake County Commissioner Matt Calabria says this is the largest expansion for this program in years. If your student does not attend one of these schools, you must fill out a meals benefit application to receive a free or reduced lunch. Calabria says they reallocated county funds to get more federal dollars to pay for free food at school.
We don't ever want a family that's working class or that's struggling to have to make tough choices between food and medicine and paying the bills. And so taking a real significant cost off the table for them makes a world of difference.
And we have a full list of all of the schools that will be offering free meals on our website, WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Drivers on I-440 in Raleigh will see some significant changes starting at 9 o'clock tonight. There'll be temporary off-ramps put in place for Wade Avenue and Hillsborough Street, and crews will be working to restripe the pavement on the ramps to the Beltline from Western Boulevard and Hillsborough Street. The work will create a collector lane similar to what already exists on southbound US 1 to Walnut Street. The lane will be for Western Boulevard traffic getting onto I-440 East and will continue on I-440 East going toward Wade Avenue and Hillsborough Street. The ramps are expected to reopen by 5 tomorrow morning.
Closing arguments are today in a hearing that could have implications for more than 100 inmates on North Carolina's death row. WRAL's Laura Levine is live at the legislature building in Raleigh. And Laura, Hassan Bakot's attorneys argue he was sentenced to death due to racial bias.
Renee, good morning. Yes, those closing arguments will begin in a couple of hours for this unprecedented case that we've been covering since the very beginning. We know that this case could revive about 130 cases. The outcome of this, that is, could revive about 130 cases involving death row inmates before the Racial Justice Act was repealed back in 2013. Now, we know attorneys representing Hassan Bucco tell me today we can expect compelling statements to back up evidence and testimonies from social scientists and historians presented throughout this case and the proceedings. They've argued Bucco's case was mishandled because of racism in jury selection and training. Therefore, he believes his death row sentence was tainted by racism. The advocates believe this case will motivate Governor Cooper to grant clemency before his term is up. Gretchen Engel, the executive director at the Center for Death Penalty Litigation, tells me she is hopeful today will bring a reckoning.
That would be really compelling to Governor Cooper, a really strong message about the untenable nature of the death penalty and a call for him to exercise his unbridled power to grant commutations.
The closing arguments begin at 10 a.m. WRAL will be live streaming it. Laura Levine, WRAL News, we're live in Raleigh.
Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention wrapped up hours ago with former President Obama laying out what's at stake in the 2024 election. Headed into the third day of the convention, the focus will shift now to Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz. The Minnesota governor is expected to accept the Democratic nomination today. The theme for today is a fight for our freedoms. Former President Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg are also expected to address at the convention.
Former President Barack Obama criticized former President Donald Trump during his keynote address last night at the DNC. In a speech that ended just before midnight, Obama said America needs to vote for Kamala Harris to move the country in the right direction.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
In his speech, Obama also listed Harris's accomplishments as California Attorney General and then as Vice President. He said she helped take on drug companies, the high price of insulin, and high health care costs. Coming up in 10 minutes, hear the moment former First Lady Michelle Obama slammed former President Trump's comments about black jobs during her speech last night at the DNC.
Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff also took the stage, shedding some personal light on his wife. Emhoff shared how Kamala came into his life and told the nation that she will bring both joy and toughness to the task.
Kamala is a joyful warrior. It's doing for her country what she has always done for the people that she loves. Her passion will benefit all of us when she's our president.
Vice President Harris posted this photo of his wife watching Doug's speech while traveling back to Chicago. In the social media post, she wrote, "Love you, Dougie."
As the second night of the DNC was wrapping up, pro-Palestinian protesters and police were clashing just miles away. People were arrested last night outside the Israeli consulate in Chicago after police say the group charged at a line of officers. Earlier in the evening, some demonstrators set an American flag on fire in the street. Others carried Palestinian flags. Many others wore black and covered their faces.
Today, former President Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, will be here in North Carolina. Trump and Vance will be in Asheboro this afternoon. They plan to talk about national security. They'll be speaking at the North Carolina Aviation Museum and Hall of Fame at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, you can get a breakdown of their expected talking points and analysis of Trump's stance on immigration on the NC Capitol page at WRAL.com. And WRAL's Ashley Rowe will be in Asheboro for today's event. She'll bring us live reports throughout the day on WRAL News and on WRAL.com.
Good morning, Chris Lovingood here in the WRAL Live Center. Still keeping my eye on the situation unfolding between Ukraine and Russia. And I want to show you some aerial images this morning in the WRAL Live Center. So you see these 2 photos that you just saw of the bridges there? And then you'll see this one right here, where you see clearly there's damage done right there in the center. That is because Ukraine has either damaged or destroyed 3 bridges in Russia's, above Russia's Sayum River. This is in the Kursk region, where Ukraine has said it has captured roughly 500 miles of territory, which is significant considering that Russia has been occupying Ukraine for about 2+ years now. I want to show you this video from over the weekend. This is just showing you the damage that was done to one of those bridges, giving you a good look of the destruction being done there. And why this is so significant is because if Russia does not have access to these bridges, it makes it difficult to resupply their troops that are occupying Ukraine.
An inspection of all Boeing 787 Dreamliners has been ordered by the FAA. The incident that happened in March involving a captain's seat that caused a mid-air plunge 400 feet.
Plus, a group gathers to play a volleyball game in the Triangle. Why they also decided to shave their heads.
And here's a live look in Durham from the American Tobacco campus. You'll want to spend some time outside this morning. It feels great. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us when we could see more of a taste of fall in our mornings.
WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43 and feeling fantastic outside. Look at that, 60 degrees right now in Wilson. Durham's at 63 and Fayetteville at 64. So these temperatures are 5 to 10 degrees cooler than they were this time yesterday. We've had a nice drop in humidity. We just have a string of some gorgeous weather ahead through the end of the work week. 62 heading out the door. We'll see a lot of sunshine. There may be a few patches of cloud cover like we saw yesterday. And boy, those clouds hung around for a pretty good while yesterday. We could see a repeat of that in some places. Temperatures at lunchtime, 75. If you happen to be out and about, it's going to be fantastic. And we should keep it in the 70s this afternoon, even with lots of sunshine. Coming up, we're going to talk about when the 90s return and when we usually see the last 90-degree day of the year.
A new setback for Boeing. The FAA will require now all 787 Dreamliner cockpit seats to be inspected. It's because one of the jets went into a dive when the captain's seat lurched forward without warning. The seat's movement caused the autopilot feature to disconnect. That happened back in March. More than 50 people were hurt.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama directly confronted former President Donald Trump in her speech last night at the Democratic National Convention. She addressed his repeated use of the term black jobs.
I want to know who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs.
The former First Lady addressed the way Trump treated her and her husband, saying his, quote, limited and narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by successful people who happen to be black.
Newly released video captured the moments before a luxury yacht sank off the coast of Italy, killing one person. Take a look here. You can see the yacht being battered by a strong storm until the ship's mast light disappears after it capsizes. Officials believe the mast snapped and the boat lost its balance. 22 people were on board when it capsized. One person is dead. 6 are still missing, including British tech tycoon Mike Lynch, as well as 2 Americans. Officials believe they are trapped in the ship.
Raleigh City Council is moving forward with plans for Red Hat Amphitheater, though an official decision on relocating the venue won't be made until a public hearing next month. The plan would close a portion of South Street, allowing for the outdoor venue to expand. It's a project business leaders say is vital toward keeping a multi-million-dollar economic driver downtown. There's been some pushback from people who live in that area. Yesterday, many with business ties to downtown shared positive opinions on the relocation. 2 people shared their concerns.
Why do we want to close another street permanently? Transit will suffer greatly, but businesses will eventually suffer the most. A critical artery to downtown for the many thousands of new residents around Dix Park will be severed. Red Hat Amphitheater needs to stay downtown, but South Street must remain open.
I want Red Hat downtown, but in order to have the proper Red Hat downtown, that one section of South Street does need to be closed.
The project doesn't officially have the green light, but the council voted to take the next steps. They want to give the city approval to start the process of buying the land across from the amphitheater and adopt a resolution with the intent to close the portion of South Street. A public hearing is set for September 17th.
People came together last night to play some volleyball and shave their heads, all to raise money for childhood cancer. 17th annual St. Baldrick's fundraiser happened at Springdale Area Recreation Club in Raleigh. Several vendors from the Triangle donated 100% of the profits to a local child battling cancer. Scott Carboni is the event coordinator, and he says the event this year is the least they can do to help a child suffering from cancer.
children's cancer is so underfunded, so this allows us to really raise funds and bring awareness to how underfunded. This year we're raising for a 4-year-old child, Zeke, who's a local child that found out he has cancer at 6 weeks old. That's why we do this. That's why we grow.
People we talked to said they grow their hair all year long just to wait and shave it off while raising money to fight the disease.
It is 4:47, and that cooler air, Canadian air, is finally here. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with our refreshing feeling morning.
Oh, it's so nice out there right now. We're going to see a repeat of this for the next several days. As a matter of fact, all the way really up until Saturday, and then we start to get back to reality. This is a live look at Zebulon and their beautiful historic town hall. 63 degrees, and the triangle with a dew point of 56. It really feels like maybe late September as you're heading out the door. And you know, we're gonna get there sooner or later. Right now, we're looking at clear skies, and so we have the top of the tower lit in blue. It's beautiful out there. That gorgeous moon, which isn't quite full, it's a day or two from being full, still looks gorgeous out there. 79 in Raleigh and Durham today, and 82 in Fayetteville. Just a really nice treat to get outside if you can. We'll have perfect weather for lunch outside. Temperatures will be in the mid-70s at lunchtime. The humidity has dropped, and it'll be mostly sunny to partly cloudy for the bulk of it. So enjoy it while it's here. Our normal high is 88, so we're well below that for today. We do get back to our normal high by Sunday. Sunday we'll start to feel more of the warmth and humidity back in our area, but today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just enjoy these gorgeous days and some cool mornings too. Tomorrow morning, our temperatures will solidly be down into the 50s. It feels really nice Friday and Saturday, and then you'll notice over the weekend, Sunday morning, Monday morning, starting to warm up just a little bit, but still in the 60s. Our average temperature in the mornings during the summer, 72. So this is a big change. And of course, that muggy meter took a plunge. It may drop even farther for tomorrow and then begins to creep up a little bit. By Sunday, it's going to start to feel a little bit more normal for us. But right now, we're looking at this fabulous flow coming out of the north straight from Canada. We will have a southerly flow, though, right there along the coast. So you can see the moisture there kind of lingering close to us. And by the time we get to Monday, notice how we turn green again. That's going to be a bump up in humidity and a bump up in temperature. We'll see highs back into the 90s. So far, we've had 58 days at 90 degrees or hotter, and the average for this time of year is 37. So we've had a lot of them, not quite double, but it's on up there. And then check this out, 92 on Monday and 94 on Tuesday, and the morning lows get back into the 70s. Coming up, we'll talk more about when we may end up seeing this return again.
Like to hear that, Elizabeth. Thanks. Doritos is making a new snack specifically designed for space. The new chips that will also help with children's cancer research.
And the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus is coming to North Carolina. When you can see the performances.
Thousands of students will be getting new guidance on how they can use artificial intelligence in their studies. That'll happen when school starts next week. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur has been tracking schools' AI policies for more than a year. She explains how parents and their kids can be thinking about using this tool ethically.
AI is changing every day.
And schools are trying to keep up with that. Cumberland County Schools just laid out their AI values, principles, and use guidelines for students. Granville County established that copying artificial intelligence content is a prohibited behavior. Wake continues working it into their curriculum, and Durham is still developing policy. Sampson County still bans it completely, punishable by a 10-day suspension.
I think a year ago it was fair to say that a lot of school districts, ours included, were looking at addressing AI or ChatGPT or any sort of generative AI.
Now, Andy Jenks with Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools says they're embracing it.
Getting our teachers in a room to collaborate with one another, I think, helps develop the policies that are then implemented throughout the school district. And generally, that starts right around this time of year.
Teachers know best what needs to be created, edited, and verified.
Lynn Fairchild Hawks has been a teacher and developed learning programs. Now she's a college essay coach. She said approaching AI obviously starts with what your student's teacher her principal or district says is allowed. From there, when talking about writing, she says 80 to 90% of the work you turn in should be yours.
If someone else, whether it's a college essay tutor, a teacher, or a bot that gives you an idea, how do you make that idea your own?
North Carolina's Department of Public Instruction also put out recommendations and considerations for schools when using AI. They're continually updating that guidance, and we've put a link on it at WRAL.com.
Lil Jon pumped up the delegates at the DNC with a new rendition of Turn Down for What and Get Low.
VP Harris, coming to WRAL. VP Harris, give a new WRAL.
Democrats turned down for their convention roll call vote last night. The rapper's surprise performance came before Georgia cast its vote. This year's roll call was strictly ceremonial, so states leaned on popular songs like Eminem's Lose Yourself for Michigan and Shipping Up to Boston for Massachusetts.
The circus is coming to Fayetteville. Tickets are on sale right now for the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. The circus features high wire performances, trapeze, BMX stunts, live music, much more. There'll be 6 shows at Crown Coliseum in March next year.
Doritos is making it to the final frontier with a new product designed to be enjoyed in space. Check out the limited edition Doritos Minis Cool Ranch Zero Gravity chips. The chips will make their debut on SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission later this month. The company partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for the release with a $500,000 donation. People on Earth can also enjoy the snack with a $200 donation to the hospital.
More schools in Wake County are providing free meals to students this year. The district's plan to use funding to make sure all students are fed.
And a heads up for drivers in Raleigh. The major traffic shift starting this week on I-440 and how you can get around it.
Historic flooding in Connecticut is causing scenes like this one. Homes collapsing after heavy rainfall. What a single mother was able to grab right before watching her home cave in.